This is Ham Dude. Um, you can see I reached eternity. I started to kind of lose. I peaked at like about 150 elo in eternity. I think top 500 starts at 300. So I'm actually farther than what I expected. But based on like some of the tracker websites, eternity is already top 4,000. I never thought that would be possible with controller. Obviously, I have an insane win rate on Doctor Strange. This is in like 75%. Um, Probably, I really don't want to play Strange from now on. I'll probably swap to Winter Soldier because, like I said, my aim is still incredible. And I want to talk through my controller config and my sensitivities. All right, so let me load in here. I think first thing, this could shock some of you, is my RWS. If I turn my controller 90 degrees, I turn to 70 degrees in game. So my RWS is 3. Um, that might be low to some people. Really not sure. But I never really paid attention to RWS. This is just randomly what felt the best. Um, I'm not using any acceleration. My gyro is always on. And so you might ask, like, what happens when you need to, like, flick? Well, I'm using the joystick, the right joystick, to return my controller to the center position. So if I flick around, I'm then counter aiming with gyro, moving my controller back to the center, and then at the same time counter aiming with the joystick. So for example, if I turn around again, look, gyro back to the center, joystick counter aiming it, right? So now I'm back to the center again. And so that takes a really long time to get used to, honestly. Like I saw people in the comments saying they're just starting gyro. This is going to take a long time to get comfortable with. And certainly, like when I was just starting, I mean, your gameplay, you're just gonna look really bad for a really long time, and it's gonna be really frustrating. And this is coming from someone that was top 500 on mouse and keyboard in multiple games. And unfortunately, I'm not anymore because I can't play on mouse and keyboard. I got an injury on my elbow, which prevents me from using mouse and keyboard for long periods of times, and specifically like flicking and stuff on the mouse. And yeah, this is coming from me. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're going to look like a bot. It's going to be very frustrating to play this. Your gameplay is not going to look like mine for a very, very long time. Now, personally, I wouldn't go above an RWS of 3. Like, I think I saw people saying they would play with, like, 6, 8. That is way too high, in my opinion. You know, look at this Luna Snow hitbox, like, from this range. That's very small, and you need to be able to focus your crosshair on that character. Just little stuff, like the robot going in there. So... Another thing, I'm not using any acceleration. I don't recommend acceleration. Maybe you can get comfortable with it. Definitely not on the gyro, but maybe you could get away with it on the thumbstick. That being said, I think RWS of 3, like I said, it's very easy to flick around, control your controller, get it back to center, and that's what I'm doing. As far as the actual buttons, like melee is pressing my right stick. This is E, this is shift, this is ultimate. This is personal preference. You can put these buttons anywhere. You could even change up the left click, right? You could put it on the bumper, you could put it on the trigger, you could even put it on one of these buttons if you wanted to. It really is just, what are you comfortable with? That's what it comes down to. My one complaint, if I had to change something, reason I don't change it is that I'm used to it, is my melee. I wish my melee wasn't here. Yeah, the reason, well, maybe if I'm really gripping my controller, sometimes I'll move around the joystick accidentally when I'm aiming, or when I'm pressing it. So that's honestly pretty bad, but I got used to it, so I'm not going to change it. As far as aiming strategies, I would try to overflick first. Overflick. Why? Well, let's say you overflick the robot. Look, to correct your flick, you're going back to the center position. Does that make sense? So when you over flick, you're having to move your controller back to the best position it should be in, which is the center. So that's just the best. So like when you're aiming, try to over flick so then you can correct back to center position. It's just helping you, right? If you under flick, you know, you're gonna still have to move your controller to a less comfortable position. So if we come back to these robots, if I do like a crazy flick, or that was an over flick, right? If I do a crazy flick, I'm gonna have to move again towards the outer position, right? Your most comfortable aiming position is from the center. Your controller being in the center of where you're at, right? I mean, you know, if my controller's right here, I can't aim from here. Feels so uncomfortable, right? So I'm gonna use my joystick, bring the controller back to center, and it's back to center again. I don't have a gyro on and off button. It's always on, like I was saying. Pay attention to movement. This is just in general aiming advice for even mouse and keyboard as well. Pay attention to movement. These bots are moving in a straight line, so you know where they're going to end up. The same thing, so like, you can easily just track them, you know? I mean, you know where they're going to be, right? And so, pay attention to stuff like that. People will move like this in your game. Now, higher you go up, obviously people are going to be moving more complex. They're going to be using their abilities properly. Another thing, jumping. You notice when you jump, this game it's a little different, but you actually slow down a little bit. So when people jump, should be easier to hit, and you can look for headshots and stuff like that. General advice, I haven't really seen someone play with gyro like I have. There's definitely very good gyro players, but it's going to take a hell of a long time to get comfortable to this. Don't expect anything. It was incredibly frustrating when I first started off. This was 3 to 4 years ago. I looked like a bot. I was playing like a bot. And I certainly didn't believe I would be top 4,000 in a game using this. Like, I didn't think that was possible, even a year ago. I'm not sure what happened. My aiming just increased. Got so much better within the last year, and I'm not sure why. I did do another sensitivity change from the last game to this game, so maybe that had something to do with it. But, like I said, that is in general what you're going to be looking for. Overflick, so then you can correct your position, right? Hopefully that makes sense to everyone, right? You overflick, and then you have to bring your controller back to center to go aim for him again. So that's better than underflicking. Just a little small thing there. Movement, like I'm basically repeating myself here. It's going to take a long time to master your movement. It just is. You're going to move like a bot, but it's very important that you get better at movement. Yeah, so the binds don't matter. But that's basically about it. I mean, you can play anything. Look, I'm playing Hela. My main is Doctor Strange. Then it probably goes Winter Soldier. Then it's Hela. I mean, you can be the top at mouse and keyboard with aiming characters with gyro. I didn't think it was possible, but here we are. I'm showcasing it to you. Right after this little showcase talk through, I'm going to just jump into a CSGO lobby deathmatch. Just show you what the op is like. I'm not even going to do any edits. It's just going to be the raw footage. You'll see. Am I aiming good? Am I doing cuts? No, it's just going to be straight footage. And you'll see how I'm able to aim. And I haven't even played that game in like months. And I'll probably go in there and just pop off because, again, my aim got so much better randomly. So yeah, this is possible. Let me think. I think I touched on everything I wanted to talk about. I'm just trying to think. I'll probably do a cut right now. But yeah, I guess the thing I wanted to finish off before I go to CSGO, it is possible to be the best. If you're just starting out, it's going to be incredibly frustrating. It's going to feel awful, depending on your controller experience. I guess I started off, like I never really played with a controller. Definitely didn't play with gyro, and it felt awful. The movement felt awful. The aiming felt awful. You just feel very limited. You just feel very limited. That's just the truth. It's not as good as mouse and keyboard. It's more comfortable. Yeah, it's more comfortable, but it's not as good. And so you just have to accept that. And the last thought, I don't do any smoothing. This is just raw input. You need to embrace the shake. My aim, and sometimes when I'm aiming around, it's very shaky. You just need to embrace the shake. That's it. You're never gonna get rid of it. It's never gonna be perfect. And so I embraced it. Maybe you disagree with that, but it just, I mean, I got top 4,000 with this setup, so it is possible. The shakiness is a little annoying, but I mean, as you can see, like, god damn, still aiming really well, right? In control of all my keybinds, you know, I'm never fumbling around with buttons, so it is possible. So let's swap to CSGO.